All right, today's team is purely about enjoyment. So this is not necessarily the strongest team or the most sensible team, but it is pretty funny, at least in my opinion. I guess you can judge for yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is get Mosquito on board. Now, Mosquito is one of those tier 1s that in the olden days I used to take it constantly in Turtle Pack because it was just clearing melons left, right and centre. But these days, it's not that great. There's so many strong hurt pets. And in the olden days, the hurt mechanics were a bit different. So I think they weren't quite as prevalent as they are now. But yeah, we want Mosquito because we're potentially going to try and knock something out that has been reduced to 1 HP by Skunk. Now, Skunk is one of those units that's so strong. Every time I put it in a team, it makes the builds so much easier to get. But in this example, it's kind of an odd case because we are not going to be trying to reduce the highest health pet on the opponent. We're going to try and give them as much health as possible and then use the Skunk afterwards. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to use Basilisk. Now, Basilisk was a tier 1. It used to transform the pet in front into a rock. And that's rock, R-O-C-K, not R-O-C. And the rock has no ability at all. It's just a token, and it's pretty funny looking, which is another reason to make a team based around it. And it will gain a small amount of HP as well. So it's not like it's not like destroying one of your own units for nothing. You do get a little bit of a benefit. Now, since they added a bunch of the transform mechanics in Danger Pack, the Basilisk is much more versatile. There are a lot more teams you can use it in, and it makes more sense in a lot more scenarios than it used to. So here we level up into the Skunk, and we're going to put the Basilisk behind the Mosquito for now. Ultimately, I want the Basilisk to go first before the Mosquito does anything. But for now, we're going to get the Snipes, and then it's going to become a rock, and it gains a bunch more HP. So yeah, like I was saying, Basilisk used to be tier 1, but then it was moved up to tier 3, which is fair enough because it's very, very disruptive if you play it at the front and transform an opponent's pet. But when it was moved up 2 tiers, the amount of health that it gave increased significantly as well. So you can see when it transforms the Mosquito here, we actually get 5 HP, I think it is, or is it 4 HP? I didn't notice there. Either way, it's a lot more than it used to be. So yeah, it's a reasonable amount of HP. It's not like a huge amount. But what I wanted to do here was try and make it so that the first pet on the opposing team is guaranteed to be the one that has the highest health. So hopefully once we get everything set up, the Basilisk will transform the frontmost pet on their side, give them a bunch of health, and that will cause the Skunk to automatically target the front pet. Now, it's not guaranteed, but we can make it reasonably reliable. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to actually play Tiger behind Basilisk. So again, this is something that wouldn't have really made much sense previously, but nowadays, because of Giant Pangasius, which activates based on how many transforms there have been, you could actually do this and it would make sense. But in this particular example, I was really just doing it for amusement factor. And so I think at level 3, the Basilisk gives something like 12 HP, or it's a lot. So if we have the 2 Basilisks, which is essentially what you have with Tiger, you can actually end up with the opposing pet at the front being on 50 HP quite a lot of the time, because often they will have a good amount of HP already. Here's actually someone on turn 10 going for the Cuckoo Chick achievement, which is nice to see. Although it's pretty difficult doing it this way with the onion. Link in the description if you want to see an easier way to do this using Silly. So we're going for the level 3 Skunk. And probably going to take the Sunfish as well. Although maybe I don't want to take it yet because I want the Tiger. Okay, we are just going to take it. And now I'm just rolling for the tiger. Not having the level 3 Basilisk already is a little bit annoying, but I guess the fact that it's not a tier 1 anymore makes it less likely you're going to get that in the first place. So I'm going to freeze the pineapple because we can also give that to the mosquito. Once we've got the team set up, the mosquito will not be being transformed into a rock. Having a little bit of extra damage like that does mean that you can punch through certain abilities that mitigate damage, I think. Okay, we get the chocolate here. Am I going to start playing the Basilisk at the front? Kind of a shame I only have the level 1 here. And we haven't seen a tiger yet, I don't think. Sunfish isn't going to do anything here because it's an even turn. But yeah, you can see, even with that small amount of HP boost, there's a good chance that the frontmost unit is going to be the one that has the highest health anyway. We're really just trying to cover the potential scenarios where the second most unit has the highest health. Here we go. We get the tiger. So Tiger Basilisk will now give them... okay, let's see how much health we actually give them in the next battle. The important thing here is that the Basilisk goes before everything else. So yeah, they were almost on 50 HP there as a result of that. Of course, their frontmost unit was the biggest anyway. But you can see the vision, I think. So level 2 Basilisk. Give the skunk a little bit of extra juice. We actually want the skunk to go before the mosquito, so I need to feed it up a bit as well. Now I think we could actually lose here. Yeah, because the nurse shark is in second position, so we don't get to turn it to stone. Gives us a bit of time to buff up the skunk. We actually rolled double bacon, which is pretty odd that rolling double bacon on turn 15 was actually exactly what we wanted. I could have bought the hot dog, but then if it hits the mosquito, then it makes it even harder to fix everything. And now we're just in Peach of Immortality territory. So here we go. Once more, the frontmost unit gets put up to 50 health, and then everything else gets wiped. So yeah, not exactly the way I was hoping it would work out. I think mostly the turns there had the biggest unit at the front. But then sometimes you get turns like this. This is actually, it's not the most interesting round, but it turned out to be a perfect game, so I thought I would include this clip. Now we've got a couple more clips, and then we'll look at the ending of another run. But here's another one where it looks like the frontmost unit is going to be the biggest, but then they already had Aardvark further back in the team, and because we reduce it to 1 HP, we actually scrape a 1 HP win. And then here's one where a nurse shark does get turned to stone. And it's so funny seeing the chocolate cake rock with a tiger behind faint and do absolutely nothing. I guess that's a scenario where the Basilisk is actually important, because otherwise we probably would have taken some serious damage from the nurse shark. So this is another game that went way too late for me to show the whole thing. At this point, we're just trying to set up. We've almost got level 3s on everything, which is exactly what I wanted, because there are going to be lots of turns where the guy at the front, isn't... Well, there should be a decent amount of turns where the guy at the front isn't the biggest. And we still have 2 hearts, even though we've gone quite late. And this is a win as well. So level 3 tiger now. It would have also been quite funny to see an opposing team where they had Pangasius and they actually got the benefit of the pet being transformed into a rock, but I don't think it happened. I didn't really play too many games of this because having the skunk just means that it's, it's not an automatic win, but it's pretty close. So I think here I'm rolling down for Waffle for the bad dog, but I don't actually know if Waffle was in the pack. Yeah, I probably should have just unfrozen the sunfish and rolled the whole shop instead. But I think we're reasonably strong. We can disrupt a lot of teams, and here's another one. So yet again, the frontmost unit has Tiger behind it and ends up doing absolutely nothing. And then we get the funny ending here where the golden egg knocks out the catfish. So here we go, we get the waffle. It was in the pack after all. We're almost at level 3 Bad Dog as well. This is such a disruptive team, it's very difficult to do anything about it. And now here's an example of a team that completely bypasses the disruption in that they swallowed the unit, so it didn't really matter. But in the end, the Tiger plus Great One is so powerful that that we won anyway. Now, next team is a level 3 Butterfly. This is hilarious. It gets turned into stone when it's still a caterpillar. I'm not sure I've ever seen that happen before. But it ends up being a draw because of the Great One damage. So now we need another Waffle or Bad Dog, and we actually get it. So it's now level 3 Great One. And yeah, do we want the hot dog? I think we can buy the hot dog safely there, but I guess I'm not going to take it. Turn 21, pretty rare that I go this far in a game. And yeah, we'll just reposition so the sunfish doesn't have to hit the other 2 units. And it works out perfectly. The frontmost unit gets almost up to 50 health. And the I think in the backline is not going to get enough attacks away to actually do anything. And Great One comes in and wipes the board. So there you go, not the most sensible team, but I do think it's a lot of fun playing Tiger behind units that you would normally never think of.